I'm about to go and do away with them. So you'll notice here, the bottom of every bottle's got a lot of yeast sediment. This is the dormant yeast that has run out of food and is just lying there waiting for food, like a dog. And then we have these two bottles here. Note the shape of these bottles. They are completely cylindrical now. The bottoms have been blown out. And just for reference, well, I'm going to talk about explosions more later, but when these things do explode, that's what happens. So, results. Every 24 hours, I get a sugar reading to determine how much sugar is burned off and converted into hooch. This graph here shows the specific gravity versus time. These numbers here don't really mean anything to you. That's fine. The next slide will make a lot more sense. But what basically happens is as we measure the difference between the starting gravity on D0 and the final gravity on the final day, we can measure how much sugar has burned off and that's converted into ethanol. So the actual alcohol percentage versus time chart is right here. So you'll notice standard, the one that I did the good way, kicked off right away and worked very well, and with cider no time. The long logs one was a bit of a slow starter, but it caught right up. The airborne one took a little while to pick up, had a couple of weird readings, but it got there. I think it took about 7 or 8 days, and it was fully fermented. And that's an experiment. Now, sir, as you pointed out, there are a few dangers that I'm just going to go through here. I feel it's fair that if I'm showing you this funky experimentation, I should make you aware of the dangers. I'm just going to go through some of these. Dangers, explosions. As you're very aware, those bottles were intensely pressurized. And so first of all, you will never use glass when you're doing this. Glass is a lot stronger than plastic. It will hold together better, but if that shit blows up, it will kill you and your cats. So don't use glass. There are photos on the internet of glass fermenters that have gone off, and it looks like a freaking bomb. Just use plastic. It's fine. And also, those crappy Loblaws juice bottles are not meant to withstand tons of pressure. They're ghetto juice bottles. What is meant to withstand tons of pressure is pop bottles. Because, if you get a thing of Coke and you drop it, it gets all pressurized. But those bottles are cylindrical. They have a very nice bottom. Those things don't blow up. If you really are concerned, put them in pop bottles. They don't explode. The next danger I'm going to talk about is contamination. This isn't a big deal if you follow the instructions. If unwanted bacteria gets into the drink, it becomes contaminated and undrinkable. So in the standard process where I had my glass jug, I had to clean that thing very well before I started. I ran some bleach through it, got a very, very heavy bleach solution, and ran a lot of really hot water before the stuff even touched my juice. Now, in the airborne process, you also run a risk here, because what can happen, as has happened to me, is if the temperature is too low, the yeast doesn't work, it doesn't kick in, because it doesn't start if it's too cool, and then the bacteria kicks in and your juice goes moldy. So if you're in any doubt, throw it out. And really, you can tell by the smell. If it looks weird, if it smells weird, just toss it. There's no point. And by the way, if it does get contaminated, it will probably give you stomach pains for a day. You're not going to go blind. And a couple of quick limitations. I'm almost done here. I'm winding right down. Am I way over time? All right, okay. Preservatives. This really, for the most part, is not an issue. Any juice is heavily processed. They use really weak preservatives like ascorbic acid and things like that really will not stand up to yeast. That's why they say please keep refrigerated. Just don't refrigerate them. The one thing that you will find is this evil ingredient right here, potassium sorbate. This is most commonly found whenever in the fall, whenever all the apple farms go and pressure fresh cider, and it's full of like real stuff, unlike processed juice, which is full of fake stuff. The real stuff goes rotten sooner, so they use this preservative here. This stuff is yeast killer, and it is brutal, and you cannot ferment around it. I'm actually working on a method to break it, although it's only in the proof of concept phase at this point. If you want more information, I'll give the address into my blog later. The other limitation, again, is temperature. I mean, any of these things kind of have to be done at room temperature. People say it has to be done at, this temperature range. As long as it's indoors, it's going to be fine, except for the airborne stuff. It's got to be hot. It's got to be 25 to 30. If you want to try the airborne stuff in the winter, put it next to a heater, put it next to a radiator or whatever, and it will work. But in the summer, it just basically flows. That's pretty much all that I've got. So I just want to kind of give a bit of a preview on where this is all going. This is part one of what I hope to be a bit of a longer series. In part two of the booze hacking series, I'm going to teach you how to run your car on this stuff. So check back in about a year. And if you're curious for any recipes or just my old internet rambling, my blog, my name is my website. You can go there, you can read all about it, you can comment, you can cuss at me, do whatever you want. Thank you very much.
Thank you.